All right, guys, we're back live here. It's 1:41 on Monday afternoon. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. We've put a little hold on the going to work thing because I want to get you guys some coverage here in terms of these just monster storms that have really ramped up here over the last half hour that are now moving into northwest Indiana. A lot of you seeing some very heavy rain right now. A lot of you have seen strong winds. There's a certain part of this storm that bears a lot of watching. It's the same one that we talked about earlier with that core of really strong wind. In fact, we're talking wind 80, maybe even over 80 miles per hour. But if you joined me earlier, I was talking about that severe threat. Someone had asked a question about, is there a tornado threat with this? That's something we're going to have to watch as these two come together. And I want to show you what's going on. So all the yellow boxes, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. They've issued those out in advance of this. This is all for the strong winds that we continue to highlight that are pushing in with these storms. Pretty widespread strong winds with these. So you can guarantee some kind of very strong wind coming through, whether it's on the order of 50 miles per hour or 80 miles per hour. That depends on where you are right now. So a lot of you also reporting that sirens are going off. Sirens are going off because of the strong wind threat, but there also is a tornado tag with this new one. And I want to show you what I mean and who's in the path of that storm. So let's get to it. Heavy rain for everyone. That's the radar you're looking at here. That shows the heavy rain that's on there. This radar shows the wind. This is the one that meteorologists look at with a fine-tooth comb to determine if there's areas of rotation. It can also show you where the wind damage is. What I'm seeing here is the same thing that we were seeing earlier. When you see these really bright colors that turn kind of tannish or even orangish, that indicates we've got a core of wind that is very strong just above the surface that the radar's picking up on. And it's likely it's coming down to the surface. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind it has, because even going back towards the west, we had 70 to 80 mile per hour wind reports out of this. So where is it right now? Lowell, this storm is on your doorstep. That wind is going to ramp up in a hurry. If you're in Schneider right now, get to your safe place. This is not a tornado. This is damaging wind, probably 80, maybe 85 miles per hour or so. We can actually look at it and see some of the numbers that are coming in with this just above the surface. Which, is sometimes an indicator of what you've got wind-wise. So you can see that number there. It's indicating just above the surface some wind going up to 85 miles per hour, which goes hand in hand with what I was saying. Again, that would be up just above tree line, but oftentimes you get downdrafts that can bring that 85 mile per hour wind down to the surface. So this is a damaging wind event as this continues out towards the east. We just got the newest radar scan here. The strong winds are approaching I-65 now. So this is right over Lowell. You're getting hit hard with strong winds. You've got heavy rain, probably some hail as well. There is a tornado tag on this from the Weather Service that says tornado possible. And here's where I think they're thinking, or where I would think there would be perhaps the chance of a spin up. Does it matter if you get a spin up tornado in this point? No, it doesn't, because these damaging winds are going to produce tornado-like damage. But right in here is where I would watch as this system kind of gushes out with wind. It tends to kind of curl around, and you can get a quick spin up on the northern edge of those gusts of wind. So if you're in Hebron right now, just out of precaution's sake, I would get into your safe place. It doesn't mean a tornado's on your doorstep. You've got a strong wind on your doorstep, but if there were to be a tornado that develops within this, it would more than likely be right in there. And that would track right into the Hebron area here, probably another 10 to 15 minutes or so. I would say 10 minutes just to be safe, okay? Other than that, we're dealing with just really strong damaging winds. This whole core right here, moving into Lake Village, about to hit in the Roselawn, this is packing a punch. And we've had numerous power outages behind this. We've had just very strong straight line winds, not tornado winds, but just straight line winds on the order of, again, 70 to 80 miles per hour. If you joined us earlier, we were talking about the setup for this and why. There's very strong wind at the mid-levels. So, up below where the clouds, up above where, kind of in the cloud height, right? We're talking 1,000 feet. Very strong winds kind of gushing in from the west right now. So these storms are gaining through that. And they're able to tap into some of that and bring it down to the surface. So that's our reason for concern with the damaging wind threat today. And that's what we're seeing, are damaging winds. Let's go elsewhere. We do have wind off towards the north. This is a strong wind that's moving in. Michigan City, Chesterton, you were the recipient of that. Valparaiso, you're going to get some strong winds here shortly. But again, this although it's severe, you're going to have some wind damage. There's going to be strong winds, maybe 40 to 60 out of that. It's this area right in here that is by and large much more severe than anything else that we've got in the region right now, as this continues to just kind of gush out. You notice the bowing structure to this as well. Whenever we see this kind of bowing out, it tells you that the wind is literally just gushing out of the storm. And we're certainly picking up on that bowing feature, which tells me that the storm is going to continue on its trajectory and continue to be on the stronger side. So who needs to get in their safe place right now? I'm going to get down to some street level if that's okay. So Lowell, this storm is right over you right now. It's about to cross the I-65 corridor as it heads into the Hebron area. So anywhere along Route 255 as well is going to be impacted by this. Southeast Grove, Orchard Grove, anywhere along 2 there, we've got some really, really strong winds moving in with this as that advancing east very quickly. So it'll be a matter of time. In terms of bigger municipalities, DeMont, Hebron, you're in the path of these storms. You've probably got another 7 or 8 minutes before this really strong wind gets to you. Wheatfield, Couts, as I mentioned in the last update, you're going to be in the path of this storm as well. So things you can do in advance. I mean, you're not going to have much time for this, but if there's anything loose or anything you don't want to end up in a neighbor's yard or maybe further than that, please secure it down, number one, or put it in a garage, put it somewhere that you can right now. The other thing we should be doing out in advance this is charging all of our cell phones. Charge your cell phone, get your battery backup ready to go, because we may, and I would guess a lot of people are going to lose power in the path of this as well. If you've been around me long enough, I know a lot of you probably newer watching on here. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a meteorologist. We've been doing region weather for a long time, 6 or 7 years now. I don't like to overhype things, okay? I hate hype. I don't like when, click here, look at this, we've got storms. So I don't like to overhype things, but this deserves some hype, and it's rare for me to say that, as this storm is, this is a very powerful storm right now that's tapping into some very powerful wind energy, and it's unfortunately bringing it down to the surface right now. This core that you see in here, again, this is 80-mile-per-hour wind being detected by the radar just above the surface. So this isn't at the surface. The radar beam, with the curvature of the Earth, radar beam goes up into the sky. Further away you get from a radar site, the more up in the sky it is. So sometimes, when we get way out here by Winnemac, the radar's coming from Romeoville in Chicago. If you get way out here, you tend to get some false readings or some higher readings. That's not the case with this. This is close enough to the radar site that we're getting true readings above the surface. So these are just some very strong wind. I mean strong winds that are moving in with this storm. Off towards the north, again, Maryville, it's windy right now. Crown Point, I get it. You've got strong winds. The sirens have been going off with this because it depends on the county, it depends on the municipality, but a lot of times your town will run the sirens if there's a damaging wind or destructive wind threat with it. It doesn't mean there's a tornado, but I don't want us to get all laid back because it's not a tornado. This is going to produce tornado-like damage with it as it moves east. All right, so that's what we've got right now. Here's the Boeing number 1. This is heading this way. Here are your towns: Wheatfield, DeMont, Hebron, all in the path of that storm, eventually getting out towards Maderyville, St. Pierre. That'll be a little bit of time. Rensselaer, I know a lot of you follow region weather down in the Rensselaer area. It looks like the strongest winds are going to go to your north, but that doesn't mean you're out of the woods. You're still going to get some powerful winds in there. But this is the corridor right in here that's going to see the strongest winds, which would take it just north of the Rensselaer area here. Okay, so right in here is where we're going to get those really, really powerful winds as the storm continues to kind of jet on out. I don't think we're done off towards the north. I would keep my eye on this. Valpo, you're maybe a minute or two from some of the strong winds in advance of the storm moving in. You can see we're starting to get a little bowing segment there. Whenever it bows, it doesn't mean tornado. When it bows, it means that you've got strong wind developing and starting to push out. So we may end up with some pretty strong winds heading through Valpo here in probably another 3 to 5 minutes or so. And then off towards the north, I don't want friends up in Michigan City. We're already dealing with the strong winds there. You see the lightning strikes on here as well. I do want to go back to reflectivity to show you the rain portion of this, because it's really coming down in buckets. I had a couple of you send in reports. I had a couple pictures come in as well. It looks like a hurricane outside. It really does. You get 1 to 2 inch rainfall coming down. on top of 60 to 80 mile per hour winds, you have yourself a hurricane. And it gets nasty real quick. The other thing, if you're out driving, the beauty of Facebook Live is that you're not plugged into a TV, right? You've got it on your device. And if you lose power, you still have it, as long as you have cell phone coverage. If you're out driving right now, which many of you or some of you may be doing that, I would not advise driving through this. I would advise pulling over somewhere safe, where you, like away from big trees and stuff like that, if you can, because this is going to cause some problems as you're driving out on the roadway. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so here's our line of storms. It's going to continue to move out towards the east. Again, we're watching areas within this, like this one down to the south. It doesn't look like much on radar, but there are some very powerful destructive winds within this section of the storm right here. We also have strong winds off towards the north. Let's check this here. I'm just getting some new alerts here. Okay. But that section off towards the north isn't producing nearly the wind that we are getting down south. Okay. This area right here is that area to watch. So heavy rain, we'll continue with this. We've got hail within this as well. You won't even be able to tell. And then back towards the west, I can go severe weather clear, at least for the next probably 3 or 4 hours or so. So Gary, Whiting, over towards Hammond, you guys are clear from the severe part of the storm. Still some lightning, don't go outside. Still some rain is going to linger, but the severe part is well in advance. That severe part is this leading edge right in here. This is the part that's severe within this storm, okay? So we're not done. LaPorte, you're going to get hit pretty hard with this. These southern counties, Couts, you're still in line for some big storms. North Judson as well, okay? Let's go back to, man, I don't know how long we're into this. We're 10 minutes in. I get this scratchy throat and I just want to cough. So excuse me for doing some water break here. This happens on air as well. It's a wonderful trait. I'm kidding. Okay, let's go back to this again. I want to pull up, the radar is going to go blank for you for a second. I'm going to pull up National Weather Service chat because I'm back and forth with them as well. I guess radar doesn't go blank. Okay, Weather Service saying strongest winds, wind gusts to 80 miles per hour, which is what we're talking about nearing Roselawn, DeMont areas. Else up to 60 remain possible. And that's exactly what we've been saying. So they're saying this, seeing the same things we're saying. Bunch of small branches down near Grant Park in Kankakee County. Large branches, tree down by Bradley Center Middle School. One car was crushed. No one in that, hopefully. 6-inch diameter tree down back towards Manteno. That's when we started tracking this storm. So it doesn't look like, okay, here we go. Public report of an 8-inch tree limbs down and damage to a screen door in Chicago. So it often, the storm reports often kind of trail the storm. So where the storm's hitting now, the storm reports coming in the National Weather Service usually 15 to 45 minutes later. So, there's no surprise that we're getting reports back in that area. So just to recap, in case some of you are just joining right now. Let's see. Genevieve, I see your message on here about zooming in. Let me see if this helps a little bit. Does that help a little bit? I can't make the words any brighter. This is a RadarScope product, so I can't change how big the words are, but hopefully that helps a little bit for you to be able to see here. But this is, again, where the really strong winds are. I'm going to try to verbally say, what you can't see. So Hebron, DeMont, Roselawn getting just plowed right now with really, really strong winds. Couts, you're up next. North Judson, Winnemac, all in the path of this. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Wheatfield, we've already talked about you. You've probably got another, I would say, 3 to 6 minutes or so before the strong wind gets in here. And all these colors, just to explain what these colors are, again, this is the wind being detected by radar. So we can look inside the thunderstorm. We can tell it's raining, right? We can tell where the rain is, where the hail is, all that stuff. But overall, the biggest part is this wind. And again, that's what I'm concerned with, is this very, very strong core of winds right in here. You see it gushing out. It's heading this direction. It'll eventually get into Stark County. Rensselaer, again, you're going to get clipped by this. Hebron, you're getting hit pretty hard from this. It doesn't look like the wind in the Valparaiso area has picked up to the intensity that we have down to the south, so that's good, but you're likely getting some strong winds there. Winfield as well, seeing some stronger winds. Westville, heads up, you've got some stronger winds moving in. Couts, you're going to be in the path of this. We talked a little bit earlier about the tornado threat with this. If there would be a spin-up tornado, not that it makes a difference because this area of the storm is equally as intense as a weak tornado. But if there were to be a tornado spin-up, it'd be right in here. So Couts, that would have eyes on you. And again, the reason why is that little eddy. If you take your hands, and I always give this description. Let me see if I can get my picture back on here again so I can. If you take your hands through a bathtub, let's say you have a bathtub full of water, you take your hand and you push it through the bathtub, right? And you're pushing the water. You get those little spin-ups, those little spins on the side, on the top of your hand and the bottom of your hand where that is. Same thing with the atmosphere. The atmosphere is super fluid up above us. You get this strong core of wind that's pushing through it, which we have right now near DeMont, and you can get these little eddies or spin-ups, much like your hand through a bathtub. You can get them on the top and the bottom sides of that. And so if we look at that, using that as a reference, let me get my marker out of here. Using that as a reference, let's just say my hand is pushing the water here. Where do the eddies form? They form right here on the northern edge of it, and they form on the southern edge of it. It's still very linear on the southern edge, so I'm not worried about that. But you see on this northern end how there's just a little bit of an inlet right there. Again, that would tell me that perhaps something could develop there, okay? I don't want to take away from the fact that that's not the main concern right now. The main concern is this larger area of strong destructive winds that's moving into DeMont right now. So Wheatfield, you're up next. Couts, as I mentioned, eventually Madeiryville, St. Pierre, Francisville. This is going to get down to you. Rensselaer, you're going to see some strong winds from Hanging Grove. You're in this as well. Back towards the west, still seeing strong winds. And let's update kind of what we're getting later on. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in. Saying what's going on later tonight. What about the second line? We have two-fifths of our viewers, our region weather followers, are out of Lake County. I get it. It's the most populated county, right? Outside of Porter County. So I want to update you, Lake County folks, on what's going on the rest of the evening. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. So here's our line of storms. Lake County, we can almost clear you out. Still some heavy rain and lightning with this, but you notice the biggest part of the storm is now east of you. That's good. Where do we go the rest of the evening? We talked about this in our first update. It is posted on our Facebook page, but this is going to lay down a boundary. So this is advancing east. It'll get out of here pretty quickly. The wind behind this system is like this. We've got this big pool of cool air coming down behind it. That's stable air. So no severe weather in the next couple hours for any of this area here behind us, okay? After that, once this moves through, let's just talk an hour. Let's talk 2 hours from now. 2 hours from now, that line of storms is probably going to be over here, okay? So we're dealing with line of storms here in 2 hours. The cool air behind it is now over towards South Bend, Fort Wayne getting it. We are no longer in Northwest Indiana getting that cool air that's coming in. The frontal boundary is still off towards the north. What the wind is going to want to do, let's get this line out of here, pretend it's over here. That wind is going to switch back around to the south, out ahead of the front, okay? That's going to be our recovery stage. So we're stable the next 2 hours. After that, that wind's going to try to switch back around and try to bring back some atmospheric energy. The models are picking up on that fact. And so later on this afternoon, the HRRR model in particular, which is high res, that's picking up on the fact that we're likely to have more thunderstorm development this afternoon. This one's going to take a lot of punch out of the atmosphere. Big question is, from now until the rest of the evening, how much is our atmosphere able to recover, all right? Does that south wind really pump up our cape again? Do our dew points are going to stay up, but does our temperature bounce back? Do we get some peaks of sun? Can we heat back up and destabilize again? If we can, I would agree with the HRRR's assessment, which develops another line of storms somewhere in here, which involves Northwest Indiana, and sinks it not east like this line, it sinks it south and southeast. And so that's what we're going to be watching for. This would be after the evening rush hour. This would be more of an evening thing. It's when that frontal boundary actually comes in. The front's not even close yet. It's in southern Wisconsin. So we'll still have some time. We've got about another 6 to 8 hours or so of a chance to heat back up and develop more storms. If we can develop those storms, they could be severe this evening as well. This is our damaging wind threat. The evening storm threat, again, it's still unclear. If you joined me last night for our weekly Sunday night Region Weather Live, where we talk about the weather for the week ahead, we were talking about the timing of these storms and the different models and the different timing. I was leaning more towards the afternoon evening development. And then today we got this storm out of Iowa, which was way out in advance of anything that I was seeing. And this is the storm we're dealing with. So the timing on this is about 2 hours earlier than I expected, and we're getting hit hard from this. That being said, the models are awful this time of year with this kind of setup in particular. And that being said, Mother Nature's got a mind of her own, right? So who knows what's going to happen with that storm threat this afternoon? That's in full transparency. The models may say one thing, but Mother Nature may decide to do something else. If this line of storms continues to really pack a punch and start to head more to the south, you see this development down here, that can also kind of shut off that flow out of the south from making it up here. So that could kind of hinder our severe weather development later today. That's the long answer. The short answer is going to be yes, we have a chance for severe weather later today as well. That would be the evening. Okay. Valparaiso getting hit pretty hard. Look at the wind as it continues. This is your latest radar scan here. Strong winds in Valpo right now. Westville starting to see that. LaPorte, you're also getting the strong winds as this is moving in. The brighter the color, the stronger the wind. So you kind of get it, how we've got some of the more intense winds down towards the south. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings for a lot of this. LaPorte, you are not. Oh, yeah, you are in a severe thunderstorm warning. Got it. They just extended that. They extended them way out, which makes sense. Couts, gosh, you're getting wind now. And if you're not, you will in about a minute. Really strong wind. Wheatfield, same timing for you. And that's if you're in the center of town. We're talking still gusting anywhere from 70 to 80 mile per hour potential with these. This is DeMont. This is Wheatfield here. You see the strong wind getting in there. Still looking at that potential. If we did have a spin up tornado, would be right in here, just south of the Couts, between Couts and Wheatfield. All right. Again, doesn't matter on that. I mean, it does. You need to take it seriously, but these strong winds will get you either way. All right. Rensselaer, not quite yet. The wind's still off towards your north. Some pretty powerful winds there near Morocco. We are starting to get a little bit further away from the actual radar beam, so we could be getting a read a little bit higher in the cloud, which the wind tends to be a little stronger up there. So we may not be getting a true read of what they're doing, but we know these have been producing strong winds. Let me put this in motion for you. You can kind of see how this storm system is gushing out. If you're in Winnemac, if you're in areas of Stark County, North Judson, Knox, just be on the lookout for these storms. You've probably got another half hour or so. Watch this as this goes through time. That is a strong, powerful wind with the storm system as it continues to gush on out. And the good news is, you notice it. If you're paying attention, you can see it. It really flares up here, right? We had really strong winds, likely on the order of 80 in southern Lake County. Notice how it's starting to kind of spread out a little bit. That energy with this storm isn't quite as compact. It's starting to spread out. That's good news. That means it's slowly weakening. Problem is it's still packing a punch, but it is slowly weakening as it advances out towards the east. So that's some great news on this. Okay. All right. I think that's it. I hope that certainly helps. Mary, you're welcome. I'm reading all your comments on there. Melissa, I know the tornado sirens are going off. There's not a tornado with this. That's the problem. Municipalities will have the siren go off when there's damaging winds. A lot of them have criteria. It's either a tornado warning, or they'll do it if there's winds over 60. Some of them do it if there's winds over 70. The tornado siren is meant to tell you to take shelter, right? And that's what we should probably do if there's 70 to 80 mile per hour winds coming in. So just keep that in mind, okay? That the sirens go off even if there's not a tornado. Let me just make sure there's not a tornado. We'll check the weather service tag here. Yes, it's all severe thunderstorm warnings. A couple of them have tornado tags with it, and actually I don't see any with the tornado tag now. It was that one we were talking about earlier. Okay, so there's no tornado with this, but we need to treat it like tornado damage. So it doesn't matter if there's a tornado or not. You're going to have property damage and wind damage if you're in the center of that core of wind as it continues south. Okay. All right. So that's it, guys. I got to get going for work. So that's a commute for me. We'll keep you updated. I think you guys are in good hands. I mean, there's not going to be any surprises with this. Okay. The storm continues to behave the way it's been behaving out towards the west. Here's your core of wind heading into southern Lake County. It's going to continue to get through Jasper County. At that point, it's out of our region weather coverage area. Okay. We got to stop somewhere. Okay. Up towards the north, LaPorte County, you're getting some strong winds. You've got the thunder lightning. I get it. That's not nearly as bad as the southern part of the storm. Okay. So you might have some wind damage with that. It's a decent thunderstorm. It is severe, But that big dangerous part of it is right over DeMont right now, heading down to the southeast, right over Wheatfield as well. Okay, Rensselaer, you'll have wind in about 2 or 3 minutes. After that moves through, we're going to stabilize everything out towards the west for a little bit, and we're going to watch for redevelopment this evening as the actual front moves in. Big question on my mind is how right now we've stabilized things as the storm moves in. Once the storm's through, you're a little bit stable outside compared to where we've been. It's a little bit cooler. You can feel it. Big question is, how do we rebound the rest of the day? Does this storm get out of the way? Does it let that Gulf of Mexico air come back and destabilize us again? Do we become unstable, essentially? And if we do, if you feel it get real sticky outside, if that sun comes back out the rest of the day, then we're going to run a risk later this evening to do this all over again. But it's going to be kind of a different setup of storms. I don't expect a big squall line to move through. It'll be more of a cellular nature well, I guess it would probably develop into a squall line. It'll be along our front. But anyway, it'll be a little bit different. It'll come at us from the northwest as opposed to the west, okay? All right, look at these severe thunderstorm warnings, these updates on this. They go all the way out to near Elkhart, way in advance of this storm because they're expected to hold together, okay? All right, guys, stay safe. Again, not seeing anything beyond this for the next couple of hours. So once this moves through, we should be okay for a while. I've got updates for you later this evening as well, but I hope this helped you get through it, okay? All right, so stay safe. If you've got pictures or anything that you can safely take that you think I need to know about, just put them on the Region Weather page. Just send a message on there as well, okay? All right, guys, it's meteorologist Matt Wintz, Region Weather. We're going to take a little break for now, and we'll get back with you later this evening based on those storms as they potentially develop later on tonight, okay?